welcome to KJ's Kitchen. I am KJ. I'm 14 years, a master fitness trainer, a fitness nutrition specialist, and most important to me, I am a happy mom serving up healthy meals from my kitchen to yours every Wednesday here on Facebook on KJ Fit fan page at 12 o'clock Eastern. So welcome to my kitchen today. What I love to instill and try to really help people understand is that balance is where it's at. If you are on a health journey and you're an all or nothing kind of person, if you're a black and white, all in or all out, you're not gonna get there. So I do suggest a nice 80-20 so that you are really living life and creating balance within your body, within your lifestyle, and within your habits. And that's going to change you for the long haul and let you continue a healthy lifestyle. Well, part of that balance is immunity. So if you're not consuming any foods that will help support your immune system, I do suggest you starting to incorporate that. And if you find that you do have a weak immune system, I suggest you really taking a look at your gut health. You could try probiotics. I have a very trusted brand I love that doesn't even need to be kept in the fridge. I'd be happy to share that with you at a great price. But also, you could be consuming things to help your gut. Fermented foods, bone broth. There are a lot of healthy gut habits that can help your immune system as they're helping your gut health. Well, today is not necessarily about gut health, but it is all about your immune system. And I'm just lucky enough that we found on our path that goes in this hiking trail behind our home, amazing berries. So we have been harvesting blueberries all summer and they've been amazing and delicious. And I know that they're organic because no one's out there spraying wild blueberries. And then we most recently harvested elderberries. So if you're not familiar with elderberries, I'm going to bring it to you today. Now elderberries, let me even pick up a tiny little branch here to show you what that's all about. So first they start as a flower and they're beautiful and fragrant, and you can actually make elderflower syrup for like flavoring homemade sodas or putting into your little cocktails. You probably, if you are a drinker, you might know about Saint Germain elderflower liqueur. Well, you could be making your own elderflower like syrups that you could be flavoring things, or if you leave the flower on the tree, you get an amazing berry. Now these are very tart. I don't suggest eating them raw. It has been known it could cause a little stomach disruption. That's the last thing we want if eaten raw. So today we're making an elderberry syrup. Now this, if taken daily, like most holistic or supplement forms, it will give you and your children, your family, your husband, your mom, your dad, your brother, anybody who's consuming it, a solid steel immune system. I mean like rock solid. So let's start. Once you've harvested, you can also get these dry if you don't have any around and you can't get fresh. You could be getting dry elderberries online. You could order them on Amazon and they're gonna work the same, and I'll tell you the differences so that you're not copying this recipe exactly. You could be using them with dry as well. Now me personally, I have the fresh, and I mean super fresh. They're not even a day old yet. So if they are more than a day old, you would want to like soak them in icy cold water, like really nice cold water for at least an hour or so to really rehydrate them. These are literally, I just picked them off that bowl right before I went live. Super fresh. I rinsed them, I went through them. I'm gonna put a cup in my pan, and do make sure you're using a steel, like a stainless steel pan, at least something that's non-stick. So whatever other types of pans that don't have that Teflon non-stick surface, because I am gonna be using a potato masher. Unless your potato masher is silicone, you could be using that in a non-stick. Otherwise, you don't want metal on non-stick, so I'm using a stainless steel pan. I'm grabbing myself a cup of water. Actually, I should have done that before I went live, and I'm still here, just getting a cup of water from my refrigerator. Yay, thank you, refrigerator. Cup of water. Didn't have that prepped. Putting a cup of water to a cup of fresh elderberries, cranking my heat to high. Now, if you're using dried, you might be using 3 cups of water. Now let's get into the very simple additions. I'm gonna do about 1 inch chunk of fresh ginger. And I'm just going to take the peels off that ginger. There we go. Here we are. Now this elderberry syrup could actually be made more thick like a syrup, and you could be drizzling it on your pancakes if that's how you'd like to get it in your body. Mine is actually more of like a tonic you'd be drinking every day. Just a simple teaspoon per child and maybe tablespoon per adult, or 2 teaspoons per adult. And now I just thin sliced the ginger, throwing that in there. And next is a cinnamon stick. You could be using ground cinnamon, but that would just leave more things floating. I really like the purity of just the liquid with no floaters. I'm using a cinnamon stick, throwing that in too. And last but not least, 3 whole cloves. These are organic, and that is the actual like clove, whole clove. 1, 2, and 3. There you go, 3 whole cloves. And I just actually, to conserve, you know, clean up, I just use my masher to even give it a little stir. I'm gonna let that come to a boil. Once it gets to a boil, I'm gonna bring it down to low and let it simmer uncovered for 30 minutes. Okay, so I'm just bringing you to the next step because I actually had just finished a batch, and you're gonna notice the actual berries themselves are going to lose color, and it's going to get really, the liquid is gonna get really dark and rich. So this, I actually smashed up already using that potato smasher. Once you've hit 30 minutes, and sometimes in between, I smash, smash, smash. The ginger chunks actually will break into halves or quarters and start mashing themselves. And once you've got that all done, you are going to strain it. If you have a very fine strainer, a fine mesh, that's awesome. And I do it right into this little cup here. You'll see, I don't have a little balancer. Here we go. I'm gonna balance it right on my, I usually do this in the sink. So I have a nice little balance on the edge of my sink, but I'm gonna let my sugar bowl do the balancing today. And I'm pouring that directly over top of that Pyrex measuring cup. And you'll see already it's just pushing through naturally. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna even get more of the liquid out. You can hear it dripping. Oh, it's such a delicious, and the kids love it. I'll tell you what, they do not get shy when you're like, open your mouth, time to take your elderberry syrup. My kids love it. I have some local friends who even turn these into gummies, homemade gummies. And they have little small enough gummies, and it ends up being about a teaspoon. Just adding in some, you know, gelatin, or if you are vegan, I'm sure you're using alternatives. But that is, the gelatin's also really good for joint health. So if you're really creative, you could put that into gummies yourself. I'm just gonna stick with the syrup. And you see I'm right now with my spatula kind of moving it and pressing, and you'll hit a point where it's not really dripping out anymore. And you're like, you could leave it there. If you're not in a rush, you could just leave it sitting there, go on with your day, go get a few things done. It will, with gravity, pull more liquid out. Or if you are in a rush because you're on live and don't have all day to show people your tricks, you can get a nice round bottom cup, maybe a small bowl, whatever that would be, and you're going to press it. Press, ooh, I'm getting a lot more juice out of it now. And just press it down, and you will, you know, it sticks a bit. Woo! Pardon me. Boo! Use my dry end, knowing that that doesn't have anything stuck from the floor on it. Here we go. Get that off and press more. Pressing a few times just to get all that out. It is so healing because it's loaded with vitamin C. It is A, B, and C, so B vitamins also really great for brain health. So not only are you helping your immune system by using the elderberry, you're also going to be helping your brain function, the happy vitamins, B vitamins. And I think we're all can probably assume we're pretty deficient in B vitamins. Unless you're really good at taking some high folate foods, you too might have some deficiencies. Just check in with yourself. Am I happy? If not, let's get some more B vitamins in you. Let's get more elderberry in you. So it was a cup of water to the berries, and it made a little over 1/3 cup of syrup, you would call. No, this is not sweet. It smells delicious. It reminds me of Gluck, like the spiced hot wine. They do it all the time in Denmark. So this, if you're using it potent like this, which is fine, you would be putting about 2 tablespoons of raw local honey into your syrup. Now, me personally, I dilute this because if you're doing it this potent, you're probably gonna want a 1/2 teaspoon per child and about 1.5 teaspoons per adult. Well, in my measurements, it's a whole lot easier to get my normal teaspoon out and just hand that over to my kids in their mouth rather than trying to figure out where my 1 utensil of 1/2 teaspoon is and getting it to them out of that. So I am going to top this with water and just double the size. So it's actually going to be close to a cup. I actually add in, this is 1/3. I'm gonna add in another 1/3 of water. And I'm gonna first add my honey because it's already a little room temperature. You do not wanna add the honey when it is boiling hot. It will denature the effect of the honey. Now, raw and local, this one's Mountain Ridge, and it is raw. I really prefer getting it from my guy down Sweeten Creek Road, but he was nowhere around this week. I was like, kept an eye out. I was like, where's my honey man? So I had to grab this one at the store. And I'm doing a 1/4 cup of honey because I'm cutting it with water. And like I had said, if you are not cutting yours, you would do 2 tablespoons. Let me get my little guy here cleaned off. So I'm gonna scrape out that honey and get all that amazing honey out of there. Woo, yes. Get all that honey. The honey is part of a strong immune system as well as helping with allergies. If it's local and it's raw, you are going to be helping yourself with any local allergens. So that's pretty important as well. Let's get something to stir that with. I'll have a little baby whisk just to help the honey dissolve, and you would want that fully dissolved before adding the water, especially if it's coming out of your refrigerator like mine and it's cold. Honey doesn't dissolve as well in cold water. You'll feel when the honey's dissolving because at first it's thick when you stir and all of a sudden it gets really thin. That's that. Okay, I've reached a boil over here. I'm just gonna drop it to low, like somewhere in between medium and low. And I don't know if you can see, I can show you a little, that the berries actually are looking like diluted and green or brown. I don't know if you can see that. I don't think so. I don't think you can see that. Let me drain some juice. So I can get a little sideways on you. You see that? They're like brown. When we started, they were like deep purple and black. Now they're grayish and brownish as they boil down. And let's just top this off. Hang tight. I'm just getting more water from my refrigerator. And I'm gonna top her with a 1/3 cup of water, as I had a 1/3 cup of syrup. Get a little funnel. You can put it in a little fancy bottle like this if you like to be fancy, or even, you know, you could even use an old dressing bottle so long as you make sure that you sterilize it. So this little puppy is gonna be sealed tight. It keeps in the fridge for about 2 to 3 months. So depending on how you're using it, this would be about 48 teaspoons right here. If you don't have something fancy like this, that's okay. Yesterday's batch, I just put in a mason jar with a nice lid. Now, if you don't plan on using all of your harvest, I'm going to be continuing to make my elderberry serum with the rest of this. And if you don't plan on using it up within the next 2 and 3 months, you can either clean, sort, and freeze the berries to use and make fresh again in a few months, or create the serum, freeze it, and then once you defrost it, you'd have a couple months in the fridge as well. So that would be up to you and how you're going to use it. It works in the body through longevity. So it's not like you're gonna take it and then automatically you're like, whoa, I just beat that cold. So take it to avoid getting a cold or flu. If you really wanna start getting fancy, you could be adding in certain mushrooms like reishi mushrooms. You could add in certain adaptogens for other health like ashwagandha. You could even steep echinacea tea into the water, throw in a few tea bags, and that would also help boost immune system too. So you could play around with this. But if you do see the signs of cold or flu coming on, you would take your dose, and that's 1 teaspoon per child, 1 tablespoon per adult. You take your dose even 2, 3, maybe 4 times a day at the first start of seeing a cold or flu, and it can wipe it out fast. So daily to prevent and really boost that immune system, and then you would triple, if not quadruple the dose daily to knock out your sickness. Hopefully today's recipe served you well. If you do not have elderberries around, as we are so blessed to have, you would be ordering them dried and just doing 3 cups of water per 1 cup of dried berries. And you would know based on the thickness if you need to be adding any more water to that. I've only explored it with fresh berries myself. And again, I cut that so that we're using full teaspoons per children and not half teaspoons. If this recipe served you, please share it to your wall. Tag a friend who you know needs a stronger immune system. Please join me every Wednesday here on Facebook at 12 o'clock. I will have a live active link in the comments below that you can sign up to get my recipes weekly into your inbox. If you've already signed up, no need to do it again. And thank you so much for sharing this time with me in my kitchen today. I'll see you next week. Have a fantastic Wellness Wednesday. Oh, and actually, I didn't take a sip. I had a sweet girlfriend tell me once, she's like, KJ, you can't go out of your segment without tasting it. So you stay right there while I grab a quick spoon. And I am going to show you how absolutely delicious this really is before we say goodbye. I'm gonna give it a stir because this one was in the fridge all night. Get my tablespoon ready. It is sweet. It is got the amazing herbs that do remind me of hot spice mulled wine. So it is delicious. If the honey that I've added into my recipe is a little too sweet for you and you don't need that extra allergen protection, then you could actually just do your honey to taste. I think it tastes amazing and definitely a joy for me and the kids. They're not gonna be saying no when you induce the health into them. Okay, thank you. This time I am saying goodbye. Have a fantastic Wellness Wednesday, everyone, and thanks for joining.